Hello everybody. Today I'll speak on Krishna. Lord Krishna, the darling of one and all in India, but I think he should be the darling one and all in the world. He has said in Gita, Arjun, wherever you see a great pure soul, with unselfishness nourishing the world, know that I am there. And Hindu word is not there in Gita at all. Krishna is everyone's darling, should be everyone's darling. Anyone who seeks true love, brilliant love and great love is Krishna. And then Krishna goes on to say further, all that's finest, highest and best in the world, best universe, Arjun, is because of my spark of my brilliance, my greatness, supreme greatness. That's what Krishna to us is. Krishna, but what we believe in Hinduism, and I won't call it Hinduism because I don't believe Hinduism is our religion. Our religion is Sanatana Dharma. In Bhagavatam, first sentence reads, wherever you see where it reads, Ete chanch kalapunsah Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the other avatars and all the other people are powers and strengths of Lord, but Krishna alone is the God. As Vivekananda had said also, that he was the most wonderful sannyasi and the most wonderful householder in one. And what he said in Gita is the best and finest which anyone can speak anytime, any in the world. It can only be equal, but it cannot be transgressed. That's what Krishna to us is. Now, what does Krishna mean exactly? I'm not going to the tale of Krishna exactly, because everyone is aware of it. That I may mention in very short. Krishna, we know, was born to parents who were jailed, and then he was taken to Gokul, and he grew there. And we all know what Vrindavan, everything, all stories we know. Now, what is the essence of Krishna? Krishna's essence is complete personality, which teaches us, which nourishes each of us in his own way. If you are a lover, he teaches you with his tremendous love, as Gopikas and others he nourished. If you are a thinker, intellectual, then he teaches Bhagavad Gita and Ved Vyas and Bhishma and others in his own brilliant way. If you are a tremendous warrior, battling for life and others, great things and values, then his Arjun was there for him. He represents all that's best, finest, anywhere we can think of for us. And most wonderful part of Krishna is, we Indians don't look at him as our God. He's too close to us, too dear to us. We love him so much that we can't think that he is God to us. He is all. As Pandavas had said in his prayer to him, Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya cha dravyam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mam deva dev. You are father, mother, friend, everything, Krishna. That's what Krishna to us is. And the best and finest part of Krishna is, he is the only God, avatar, whatever you might say, who we treat as Bakhanchor, as personal. He is too close to us to be treated as God. That's the beauty of Krishna. Krishna actually represents the human to divinity in the most wonderful sense. It's a love which translates into best and finest life in a very, very definite way. You can love him even as a paramour. He can be he's not somebody like, you just like Sita, you have to be his wife. You could even have wanting to date him. We have Meera, one of the greatest lovers of Krishna. She was married to somebody else, and then she still loved Krishna. Gopikas, they are married, but they still love Krishna. Whether Krishna existed in this form or not doesn't matter. But the civilization which could dream of Krishna and create Krishna, as Vivekananda has said, has to be really, really very, very evolved. Because we believe that we can think of God as somebody very, very personal. Somebody who can be our friend, who can be our brother, who can be our lover too. We can date him, you can call him Makhanchor, and if you ask any Indian who is little evolved, he will refuse to treat Krishna as God. For him, Krishna is too close to be treated as God. We can't fear him. No one fears Krishna, any worthy person in India. We love him. That is what makes Krishna the finest and the best for all of us. Now, I've met a lot of foreigners. When I met them once and we were talking about spirituality, I explained to them what does Krishna mean and what does Radha mean. They were stunned, and they were Americans, of course, 27 Americans who were doing MBA in a big university, top university in America. I met them in a family friend, IAS officer's house. They had called them for dinner. She had invited me for that. There I found that they were stunned to realize that we can have a God with whom we have a personal relation. That is what Krishna's greatest and highest and finest glory is. And then Krishna never preaches morality. He is, I mean, I'm putting it of course jokingly, he is the most immoral of all the gods. His only thing is, and the most remarkable part of Krishna is, he teaches Ananda, Anandamaya, Sukh. He is not God of misery and sorrow. You don't need to go through tortures, turbulences, everything to reach him. Just love him and face the world. That's what makes him the best and finest and deepest for all of us. But let me make it very, very clear. Anybody who feels that Krishna is Hindu God is fooling himself. He is Lord of love, and Hindu word does not come in Gita at all. I'm being deliberately repetitive because I want to emphasize Krishna represents universal love, divine love, and his Gita does not belong to any caste, creed, or religion. It belongs to one and all. It only talks of defining karma and everything. I'll talk about it later. What does Karma Yoga mean exactly in Gita? As Vivekananda said, real Karma Yoga starts only after divine knowledge or divine love. I'll talk about it later because it is often misunderstood. We think Karma or Gita means being cold-hearted and doing work. That is stupid. Then, if a wall will be the great Karma Yogi because wall has no emotions in it. Or some animals eat their own children, so they are great. This is wrong. A a dacoit who can go and kill hundreds and thousands of people and is cold-hearted, he can also become yogi. It's wrong. Krishna represents serving, loving, always loving, with his best and finest heart. And he said it very clearly. I'll finish with this and then later I'll talk about Krishna more and more. He said it very clearly. I give everything, Arjun. I give everything. Not to Arjun, he said it. Even to Arjun, he said it. I can give wisdom. I can give power. I can make you king of the world. I can make you I can give you Devalok, everything. I can give Brahmalok. But I don't give love. Because once I give love, then I have to do seva. Then I have to become slave. May I hope the best and finest of all and among you, the noblest, sweetest souls, find him as a slave. Or find that the greatest, finest and never slave. But only thing you must remember, his hug will be very, very tight. His hug will be so powerful, he'll destroy all your ego, vanity and deceit and everything, and you will find he'll denude you of all your ego, vanity and other things. He'll make you what you are. That's what he did to Gopika Vastraharan also, which is often misunderstood. He wanted to destroy the final pash, that is Sharma, Lajja, as we say it. They were free from all the things, but Krishna wanted to teach them further. Be completely free from everything if you want to reach me. That's what Krishna taught. Love for the sake of love. And love absolutely, fear nothing except love. But love is innocent, noble heart. So glory and brilliance to all the finest people in the world who are innocent, guileless, noble and love unselfishly. If you do that, that's what you need. No intellectual wisdom, nothing is required for Krishna. Just as Gwalas, and they were so small, average people, not educated. Gwalas, Gopikas and others, they were educated. Yet they are considered dearest and finest to Krishna. That is what Krishna means to us. Krishna means anybody, anyone can reach with him. Only thing we need is simple, guileless, innocent heart, which is just full of love, which knows only to love. Wish all the very best to all of you, and best wishes, I love you all.